Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So we have it again. I believe these stories are going to constantly roll out, and not all of them are going to have apologizing. First of all, they shouldn't ever happen. But we know the way things are going, it's not going to be like that. So Dunkin' Donuts had to apologize for calling the cops on a woman who spoke Somali. So this is in out of the Yahoo, and it's by Elise Soleil. And so it's right up under, or apologize to a Somalian customer who has who was she was berated by them. So Dunkin' Donuts, it's not the donut company that's the problem. It's this employee that's working there. So the donut company took it upon themselves to apologize to a college student after one of its employees called police in an altercation. And we see who that employee is, don't we? This was an altercation that she said began when she stopped at a drive-through with her family. And the attendant heard them speaking in another language, which was Somali. And how many times here in California have I been all over in different areas and people speak different languages? I've heard people speak, I've heard people speaking in Spanish, and I've heard people speaking in Russian, a whole lot of other different dialects. Some of them like French, and I thought that at least it was okay to talk in a different language without being told that you couldn't do so. I even heard there was a woman who she she spoke English, and it was the other way lady, and I believe they told English wasn't clear and or clear enough for them to understand because they actually spoke Spanish. They were speaking Spanish, and they didn't like it that she was asking them could they speak where she could understand, and she said it nicely, and they got mad at her, and then they wouldn't serve her. I saw something like that. And so a lot of stuff is going on. So this is not surprising. I'm thinking a lot of more stories are going to come out. And so Somali is that language comes from an African country. And so this woman is Black, and she speaks another language, and there's nothing wrong with it. So on Monday, a 20-year-old Hamdia Ahmed tried placing a coffee order in the drive-through of a Dunkin' Donuts located in Portland, Maine, when an employee became enraged over the loudspeaker. We were speaking in our native language before we even spoke through the microphone to place this order. So out of nowhere, the shift manager, here we go again, screamed at us and said, "Stop yelling, leave, or I'll call the cops." Now, these people, I've said this before, they are in positions of power. So let's say you felt, belittled or berated, like they said in the beginning, And you said, I want to speak to the manager. But no, no, no. The person who actually is doing the calling of the cops is the manager. And we see who that is up here, don't we? And so I've said this many occasions before. They get in positions where they can kind of tell other people what to do and call the shots. And so they somehow are able to get in these high positions, manager, CEO, boss of somebody. Because see, these people, they like to tell other people what to do. And so just think of what it would be like working under this person who's the manager of this place, and you're working under her, and she doesn't like you speaking in a different language, even though it's your native home language. So it goes on to read that out of nowhere, this shift manager was screaming at him, told him that they needed to stop, and she yelled at him. And she said she was threatening to call the cops. And so Ahmed wrote this on Facebook. I was surprised to hear this because we weren't even doing anything. And most of the time, these people call the cops on people. You don't have to do nothing. You can be selling water, you're a child, selling lemonade, you're a little boy, trying to go in your apartment. You live there, you're a resident there, you're being followed. You can't even go into a store and get a drink of water or a drink of soda or whatever because the cops are going to be called on you. And now you can't even speak another language if you come from another place. And you originally, maybe you had another home language and you happen to be of another persuasion, another ethnic group. Somehow these people have a problem with it. And so all of this is grounds for calling police. I thought calling police, you were supposed to call when there's an emergency. A lot of times they'll tell you, don't call us unless there's an emergency, because if there's a real emergency out there, we're not going to it because we're going to these things that aren't real emergencies. And so where's the anger from the cops when these incidents happen? And you notice you don't see anything. Everybody's silent. They say, the cops, and the things that they do, they're not all bad. And, the cops, we're hard on them. And, okay, the cops don't want people, to make these stories about how cops can be vicious. There are some cops that are like that. But however, I'm wondering why the cops aren't upset by these people calling police for dumb stuff like this. So I was surprised to hear this because we weren't even doing anything, she says. So the shift manager told us to leave and she was calling the police. So she also refused to take the order. She refused to take their order because, see, she's in a position of power, so she can do that. So she can run people out of there. So today, I was served with a trespass at Dunkin' Donuts located at St. John's St. Street in Portland, Maine. So she was served, this woman, Hamdia Ahmed, on Monday, they served her with a notice. And this paper was served after the shift manager called the police on the family and her. So we were at the drive-through ordering something for her brother. And we were speaking in our native tongue, our native language, before we even spoke through the microphone to place the order. So they were talking amongst each other in their native language, trying to decide. And how many times you go to a drive-through and you try to decide what you're going to get because you're looking at the menu And so if you do speak another language, or you might kind of pause a little bit and then you turn and look at everybody and go, what do you want to order? What do you know what you want? And before you start talking. And so she gets mad at him for that. So we were speaking our native language, and before we even spoke through the microphone to place our order. So out of nowhere, the shift manager screamed at us and said, stop yelling, leave, or I'm calling the cops. When she's actually doing all the yelling at them. So I was surprised to hear this. And so I guess there's more. And so it's basically what this article was saying. And so this is I guess, the notice that this young lady was served. And so the University of Southern Maine student parked, leaving her older brother and mother in the car, and went inside the store to inquire why the police was called on her. So I also wanted to let the woman know that her behavior was unacceptable. Ahmed told Yahoo Lifestyle this, and I decided to wait for the police. So she waited for the police. Now you're going to see a picture of the woman who speaks in the Somali language, which is Black. And so Ahmed alleges other customers began filming the altercation and says that one left the store saying, I'm not buying any coffee here. And this is straight up racism. It is. There's no other way around this. It is racism. So this is the woman pictured here. So she speaks another language, and there are Black people from different places that speak other languages, and they get treated really bad. When they find out how people treat them here, it is shocking. And those of us that come from here, we already know. We know what this is. So Ahmed explained in her Facebook post that after speaking to the police officer, she was initially issued a no trespass order for disturbance and yelling at the staff, according to the Portland Press Herald. So Ahmed's order bans her from the John Street location for 1 year. So this lady for 1 year can't go to that Dunkin' Donuts location because she supposedly was yelling at the store manager. But it was really it sounds like it was the other way around. That this woman was yelled at because she has another language and because she's Black. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real. She's Black. And so this store manager got all in their feelings with the racism all mixed in there and thought, I'm going to exercise my power. I'm going to do something. I'm going to call the police on this woman. How dare she speaks another language and think she's all that? She can't do that because I'm the store manager of Dunkin' Donuts. So I can call the police and have her banned from Dunkin' Donuts like there isn't any other Dunkin' Donuts that this woman can go to. I'm sure there's a whole other many avenues of donut shops that this woman can frequent. So this is really petty. It really is. So the only crime that she committed, supposedly, was speaking in her native language, wrote Ahmed. Languages come in different tones, and this woman felt like we were a threat to her. Okay? So this is America, and everyone should have the right to speak in their native language. Unbelievable. That's what she said. It is unbelievable. Ahmed also posted on Facebook video of the argument. So she posted it. Don't talk to me like that. When I was talking to my family in my language, she says to the drive-through microphone, you're going to disrespect me because I speak a different language than you? Is that what this is? The employee responds, it has nothing to do with your language. It has something to do with her language and her race as well. So you can leave. You don't want to hear it. So I'm done with it. and you can leave or I'll call the cops. And so she posted a video. So shall we see this? And so I will turn up the sound because I believe
Respect me like
all these videos come with sounds, okay?
respect me like that when I was talking to my family in my language, ordering stuff. You're gonna disrespect me because I speak a different language than you? Is that what it is?
It has nothing
Yeah,
to do with
it
your
does.
language.
I was talking to
You
my
can
family.
leave. I don't want to hear it.
I was talking to
done
my
with it.
family. I was
You can leave.
really?
Or I will call the cops.
So that's basically it. You can hear the conversation, or rather, you can hear the dialogue that was going back and forth with these two. So Hamdia Ahmed, guys, I need your help. Today, my family and I want at Dunkin' Donuts, okay? Before we even placed the order through the drive-through, we were told that to leave for speaking in our native language, and we were called the bitch word. They were called bitches, basically. So the police were called on us, and now we can't go back there. So I'm disgusted. So this woman is very disgusted behind this whole ordeal. According to the news outlet, the store owner, Dave DeRosa, apologized to Ahmed on Wednesday, and he revoked the no trespass order. Good for you, Mr. Dave DeRosa. Sounds like he would know what this was like. Representatives of Dunkin' Donuts and the Portland Police Department did not return Yahoo Lifestyle's request for comment. Of course not. Of course not. So he gave a sincere apology. Ahmed told the Press Herald. So he acknowledged that the police should have never been called. They shouldn't have. This is not a police type matter where you need to be calling the police. And so that's why I say, police get upset when people say all these negative things about them. But look at what's going on right now. How come I don't see police coming forward saying, why are you guys calling us for stuff like this? We got other things that are real serious matters to deal with. Don't call the police on these people for these type of unmeaningful things like this that are not really emergency. They're not emergencies. However, the altercations could turn a whole nother way depending on people's emotions. That's a whole nother story in and of itself. And so a lot of times I feel like the reason why they call the police is because they feel some type of way and they feel like they have the upper hand, and before they do something stupid like shoot at a person or hurt someone innocent, they call the police for a backup defense because they feel like the police is more on their side than people of color. I believe so. That's why they call the police too. That's another reason. So the paper also published a statement from Dunkin' Donuts corporate office, and Dunkin' Donuts, our franchisee, are committed to creating a positive customer service experience for all of our guests. So the franchisee who owns and operates the store has confirmed that he has met with the guests and sincerely apologizes to her for the poor experience and is working on providing additional customer service training to the store crew. I appreciate their apology, okay? But what I really wanted to get out of the meeting is I guess she says, I want training for their workers. So sort of like what Starbucks, all the incidents of Starbucks was involved in. I feel like if I say Starbucks, something else is going to happen, and it'll happen in a Starbucks. I almost feel like if I say, well, you remember when that incident happened in Starbucks with the two black guys that were arrested? If you say too many things about a place, then other story will come out about somebody being mistreated, at a public establishment. So Ahmed told the Press Herald that she wanted a little bit more, I guess maybe sensitivity and, also how to treat customers that are coming from different places and speak different languages, how to treat customers, more respectfully. So because they can't treat people like that, she says, and the police should have never been called. So according to the recent tweet from Ahmed, Dunkin' Donuts will now train, which they're doing, like Starbucks, they're now going to train the staff as well. So in an update, the owner Dave has apologized for the incident that occurred in the store. So this is what she put on Twitter. So the no trespass order has been rescinded. And so he acknowledged that the police should have never been called on us, and there will be a sensitivity training for the staff. Proud of myself for speaking up, which she should have, and more people should speak up. So anyway, guys, this is what her original tweet was, and then she had posted the video, and you could see that she was very persistent about how she felt about this store manager. But no. Sometimes even what sounds like, it almost sounds like a little war, like bombs, and they throw them into the street. they know of somebody. So, like that's supposed to make it better. Or my husband is black or my wife is black. That doesn't mean anything. That's just one black person that is dealing with you, and you sleep with that person. That's a whole nother level right there. So that has nothing to do with you, how you treat other black folks. So let's get that clear, because a lot of them think, well, if they sleep with one, or if they had an experience of intimacy, which that's what most of them want to do, because we've been seeing a lot of that lately, that we should not have our antennas up as black folks on the racism thing. But anyway, I just tell you this, anybody who can relate to these incidences, that a lot of these are happening back to back. And I say a lot more of this is happening. A lot more of it is happening even than what we're seeing, because these just happen to be on film, are caught, or are exposed, rather. A lot of times you have people that will do these things. So anyway, let me see here. I'm going to try to adjust this here. Put it back on where I was, because I'm not surprised when I see these incidences. I feel that a lot of this is what you call, we're in the time of when people who to be bold about their not having feelings about people of color. So anyway, with that, having that said, that I will say this before come out. A lot of stories that are going to make people like, what? How could they? They could do that because of who we got representing now, especially now that they elected Mr. Kavanaugh, Brett Kavanaugh. I mean, even I wouldn't be surprised if we see more women being mistreated, and also because, behind, who we've got elected, as a SCOTUS, and who we got in the White House as president. So a lot more of these stories are going to just come rolling forward. And so we're going to have probably more stories of women that are not being treated fair. And boy, if you saw all of the complaints that were going on just in the White House, of some of the people they've got in there, and the women that have to work around some of those people, some of the things that are going on, it's been hidden. There's a lot of stuff going on just within that White House. So, and has gone on that people don't know about, but it's surfacing now. And so these are not new things that are happening. These are things that have been going on, and now they're being exposed. So with that being said, I'm glad that this woman got the satisfaction that she needed to feel some level of comfort by, you notice she didn't ask for any money. You notice she was very humble. So all she wanted was people to be trained on how to treat other customers. She didn't say, oh, I want to sue Dunkin' Donuts for $1 million or $1 billion because I was mistreated, No, she just said she wanted a formal apology, and then that order to be lifted, which it was. And for people to learn how to treat people with respect. So you just wish people all over would think about what they say. Well, think about before they say something, think about what it is you're going to say and how you're saying it and what position you're in and who you are. And be more kinder and more considerate to other individuals rather than just, accusing them of something they didn't do. Well, having said that, I'm going to let this video go, and I will say this. I believe there are other protests that are going to happen. There are other things, other developments that are going to happen because people are getting tired of all of this. Thanks for listening.